Welcome to the Bayonet's Countdown to November, a series of interviews with the candidates in the November 4th general election. I'm Dick Myers, and with me for this segment is Roy Dyson, incumbent state senator from District 29. His opponent is Steve Law, a Republican. Nice to have you here.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you very much. Thank Bayonet for doing this.
Well, we're trying to drum up support so people will vote. That's the whole thing. So we hope
that is a very noble effort.
Yes, absolutely. I want to put it out there right now in case anybody doesn't know. I can't imagine that anybody doesn't know. Is I used to work for Roy. I worked for 4 years, first term in the state senate. So, but you know, Roy knows and everybody knows that I try to be as fair as possible. So I'm not going to be necessarily easy or hard on him just because of that. So.
Do they also know that when I ran for House of Delegates in 1974, that you managed WKIK and you did the first interview with me?
Mm-hmm. I think I also at one point had an editorial opposing you running
Yeah,
for
I didn't
Congress.
like that much.
So it hasn't always been.
Remember I came to the station and I said, I want opposing time, which you had to give to me.
So 74, 2004, that adds up to 30 years with only a very short period of time, I think 4 years.
4 years, right.
When you were not in public office. What is it that motivates you for public office? It's not always an easy job.
I love people. I just love people. We have an office, as you know, a street office here in St. Mary's County. It's in Great Mills. We don't do legislative things. If you've got a problem in St. Mary's County, more than likely somebody's going to say, go see Roy Dyson, go see Roy Dyson's
And it's
office.
not just state issues, it's federal issues.
Oh, it's everything. It's just everything. We do a lot, for instance, for veterans. And, you know, they just don't know where to go. They come knocking at our door. As you well know, Barbie, Debbie, all of them, they work very hard at just trying to connect people with those people who can help them. And more than likely, as I said, if you're down on your luck, we had a case the other day with a homeless veteran, and that involves a number of agencies, and so we're putting them in touch with all of these people, and most times out of 10, it works, it helps, and to me that's the greatest challenge that we have, and I think it's the greatest joy we get out of this, that I get out of this office.
So why another term? Are there undone things that you would like to accomplish?
Undone things is probably a great word to use, Dick, because that's gonna segue into this whole issue of the wind turbines.
Okay. Talk about it.
As you well know, we had an issue this past session of the General Assembly, and the Southern Maryland delegation came together in both the House and the Senate and put together a piece of legislation that essentially created a moratorium on the location of wind turbines, windmills, on the eastern shore of Maryland in the area around, in the area of Somerset County, starting close to the bay and moving inland towards the town of Princess Anne, which ironically enough, they're about to have a meeting, I think tomorrow, in Princess Anne on this very subject.
Oh, right.
And ironically enough, they sent me an invitation. Don't think I'll be going, but I'm sure if I was there, it would probably be a real lightning rod. But as you well know, I represented that area when I was in the Congress of the United States. But what these turbines would do would interfere with our radar here at the base. Mm-hmm. That's key to the viability of the base. And essentially what we did, we were able to come together, get a majority, more than a majority of both the House and the Senate of Maryland, to essentially say, let's have this moratorium until MIT and others could come together, put a package together to do a study to find out how interfering these turbines could be to the radar. What happened was, as you well know, after the General Assembly ended, the governor vetoed the bill, and Comptroller Francho also wrote a letter urging him to veto the bill. Well, of course, this put in jeopardy the whole base here, or could put in jeopardy the whole base here. I predict there's going to be probably a BRAC sometime probably in the next 4 to 6 months next year. The administration in Washington wanted to have a BRAC some couple of months ago, and you probably read it in the paper. And of course, you and I know what happened. Members of both parties probably came to the president and said, look, we're getting ready to come into an election. This would be the worst time to have a BRAC. But once this election is over and we start with a new Congress, they will be proposing a BRAC. And we could, because of the actions of our governor, we could be putting into jeopardy the future of this base. And so I think long-term, that's something we've got to all be very much worried about.
So is there an override vote looming next session, you believe?
I don't know that it'll be an override vote, and the reason why I say that is, there's so many new members. You won't have the existing members that initially voted for that. So that's not permitted. I really believe what we will do, we haven't talked about this yet, I think we will come together and we'll essentially try to put another type of moratorium. But what I would like to see, an outright prohibition on the location of those wind turbines in Somerset County.
So are you finding, not only in St. Mary's County, but statewide, that jobs is a big issue in this election?
Dick, it's not jobs, it's jobs, jobs, jobs. It's the number one on everybody's mind. And I think primarily due to the fact that I don't think we fully come out of this recession. And, this is sort of timely today. We've had another day with just a crash in the stock market. I think there's tremendous uncertainty out there with our economy. That's why it's all the more important that we protect this base here. It is, depending on who you talk to, it's between 75 and 80% of our economy. And we are so fortunate to have it. And it's the kind of industry, clean, green, whatever you want to call it, that I think every community, every jurisdiction in the country would like to have in their, supporting their own local economy. So we need to protect it, and it's true. It runs true with this whole notion that jobs are the issue.
So why has Maryland been so slow to get itself out of the recession?
I think one of the reasons why is that we went through a period of what's called sequestration, and that had a tremendous impact on job growth, particularly with the Defense Department, but particularly in a state like Maryland that has such a tremendous number of federal employees. And so the fact that there isn't additional hiring in the federal government has caused our unemployment in Maryland to go up and instead of down. And whereas that federal presence, not just here but all over the state, has helped us in recessions in the past. Right now, because of the attempt by the Congress in passing the sequestration, which even though that has ended, those cuts are still continuing, and that has meant a slowdown of hiring of federal employees.
The Republicans blame the tax increases of the last 8 years of the O'Malley administration. I just saw a list of the alleged 40 tax increases that the GOP is putting out. Is that part of the problem?
I think it is. I think it has. Disincentives for particularly small business. I just got the other day the endorsement of the NFIB, the National Federation of Independent Businesses. It is primarily a Republican organization, but it does represent small business. I am the only senator in Southern Maryland, incumbent or candidate, that got their endorsement. And obviously one of the issues with them were the taxes. I didn't vote for those taxes for small businesses, particularly retail businesses. Sales tax increase, that's very hurtful. That's very hurtful on low-income people. So they look at a combination of that, and I think some of the regulations that the O'Malley administration brought about, and they have, they look at Maryland as not business friendly anymore, and I think what we need to do is work to make sure that that is not true.
There have been some hot-button social issues over the last 4 years that the General Assembly has passed: death penalty, gay marriage, gun control, those types of issues. How have you voted, just generally, on the issues that have really been in the forefront in the O'Malley administration?
Well, I have voted no on all of them. I don't think that, the death penalty, I don't think that that should have changed. I do think we should have kept some part of the death penalty law. That did not happen. I did not vote for that change. Same-sex marriage, the same situation. I did not vote to change that law. And gosh, I forgot what was the other one.
Gun control.
Gun control. Obviously, I didn't vote for that at all. And and I have I have the endorsements of groups like the NRA and groups like that have would never have given me that endorsement if I had voted that way.
So how would you characterize your philosophy?
I like to characterize it as down home St. Mary's. I come back and forth every day during the legislative session. I don't go to all the nighttime dinners sponsored by the lobbyist. I come home and I come home here and I listen to people. I get my gas here. I get my coffee maybe in the morning on the way up. And one of the great advantages of all of that is I really hear firsthand. Roy, I sure don't like what you all are doing up there. Roy, that's a good idea. So I hear it every day. I come home to it every night, and I think it keeps my feet wedded to the ground to hear on those three issues, the social issues that you brought up. I mean, I heard every day from people, not just those who sent the emails and not just those who sent the letters, but I actually saw people every day that told me how they felt on those issues.
I remember back when you were running for Congress that your twin brother Roy Lee used to stand by the side of the road and wave, and he didn't have a mustache in those days, so people didn't know. But are you still doing this by the side of the road waving?
I'm still doing it just right down the street here. In fact, we've done some of it down there. And I've had some volunteers, and you've probably seen or heard of them. One of them dresses up in a cow, and we stand out there, and somebody says, "Why the cow?" And I said, "Well, I'm endorsed by the Farm Bureau," and so we got the costume. People love it. We were in the parade the other day over in Solomon's, the Pratt Parade, and Debbie got into the cow costume, and Barbie got into the dog costume, and I like to think I was a real hit, but most of the kids were all, "Oh, look at the dog, look at the cow," and they were all waving. And it's politics can get a little stiff sometimes, and even mean-spirited. We kind of want to always bring us back to making it something that's a little bit more fun.
Sounds like you enjoy the campaigning.
I do. I do like campaigning. I really do. I always have. I've been very good at it. Really good at it.
Now, I should have asked this question first, but we got a little bit sidetracked. We have newcomers in St. Mary's County. Just a brief bio. Are you from St. Mary's County originally?
Lee and I have an identical twin brother. Lee and I were born in Leonardtown, Maryland, at the old hospital, and went to school here in southern Maryland. Was first elected to the
Where'd you go to school?
Little Flower School in Great Mills High School,
Okay.
and was first elected in 1974 to the House of Delegates, the youngest person elected at that time, and then went on to be elected to the Congress of the United States, and again, still living here in St. Mary's. At that time, I represented 13 counties in the state of Maryland. Geographically, it was one of the largest congressional districts in the country east of the Mississippi. Obviously, as you well know, audience well knows, Alaska has only one representative in the Congress, and Alaska's a huge state geographically. But and then went on in 1974 to 1994 to the Senate of Maryland.
So people may not know this about you. When you were in Congress during 4 terms?
5 terms.
5 terms. Who was your hero during that time?
I really had 2 of them. Obviously, Tip O'Neill was a great, and Ronald Reagan, President Reagan. They were, you see what's happening in the Congress today, and you see a group of people who can't work together, and then you see that they can't work with the President of the United States. And it's kind of frightening when you think about things like, ISIL, and you think about things like the Ebola virus and things like that are happening. In those days, we had some terrible issues that came up. But Mr. Speaker and Mr. President, maybe they did this once in a while. but when it came time, you know, they slapped each other on the back and brought the country together, and we made the right decisions. And I wish we could get a little bit of that back today, because I served at the time on a committee, the Armed Services Committee. We were not a partisan committee. We didn't have a partisan staff. Everyone worked, you know, everyone worked together. And that was a great time. And those two individuals, in my opinion, made that happen. And oh my God, do we need that back today?
For people that would like to help you in the campaign, how's the best way to do that?
Just give us a call. Come by our headquarters. Our headquarters is in Great Mills, across from the Little Flower, the entrance to the Little Flower School. And we would welcome their help.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on this segment of Countdown to November.